From fire and fury to locked and loaded, President Trump sounding more alarms today to warn Kim Jong-un if he launches an attack, his country will face dire consequences. He tweeted this morning, military solutions are now fully in place. Locked and loaded should North Korea act unwisely. He followed up this afternoon with this.
I hope that they are going to fully understand the gravity of what I said. And what I said is what I mean. So hopefully they'll understand, Peter, exactly what I said and the meaning of those words. Those words are very, very easy to understand.
And then he elaborated.
And this man will not get away with what he's doing, believe me. And if he utters one threat in the form of an overt threat, which, by the way, he has been uttering for years, and his family has been uttering for years, or if he does anything with respect to Guam or any place else that's an American territory or an American ally, he will truly regret it, and he will regret it fast.
A few hours later, the president addressed the threat again from his New Jersey home alongside his top advisors.
Nobody loves a peaceful solution better than President Trump, that I can tell you. Hopefully it'll all work out. But this has been going on for many years. Would have been a lot easier to solve this years ago before they were in the position that they're in. But we will see what happens. We think that lots of good things could happen, and we could also have a bad solution. But we think lots of good things can happen. And if anything happens to Guam, there's going to be big, big trouble in North Korea.
All right, so I just asked Greg, what are the good things that are going to happen? You said there's going to be good things.
Well, first of all, fire and fury, locked and loaded, those are basically Chuck Norris's safe words. And I think that, you know, Donald Trump is using our language, which not political language, but our language. It's blunt, it's hard. He's negotiating. He's in a different position. And I feel like every president has this. North Korea has always been part of the employee orientation. It's like every time you become president, oh, you got to go through the North Korea thing, and then you get past it. It's like employee oriented.
Set it aside.
Yeah, but he's doing it in a different way because I think he's seeing a different way of doing it, i.e., you know, getting the sanctions agreed upon by 3 different factions was a plus, and he's basically he's speaking to North Korea in a language. Their survivalist language, which is bluffing. They're bluffing, and so he is calling their bluff. But it's something I don't. Bottom line. We aren't going to do anything until they do something. So are they going to do something? I think we just sit and I be calm about Guam.
And there's nothing else we can do.
Right.
Like earlier today, we talked to the Wall Street Journal bureau chief in Seoul, and I said, what's the mood there? He's like, well, people pretty much have lived with this for a couple decades, so they're not really that worried. And I think that there's multiple levels of communication going on. Back channels, front channels, say this, you say that, bad cop, good cop. But one of the things he said today I thought was interesting, Jesse, is he was asked a question about, somebody said, well, what about when Kim Jong-un says this? And President Trump, who had just come from a briefing with his top advisor, said, I don't think it was he that said that. Like, he's very specific. Like, Kim Jong-un hasn't said anything in 3 days. So until I hear him actually say it, I'm not going to react. I thought that that was an interesting thing, maybe a signal to Kim Jong-un that there's an opening.
Trump takes this North Korea situation personally. He believes that Kim Jong-un has disrespected Trump, he's disrespected America, and he's disrespected our allies in the region. And Donald Trump, anything, he is big into respect. I don't think he's doing anything differently than any other U.S. commander-in-chief would do to protect our allies and our territories. He's just saying it a little bit differently. He's using more colorful language. And you don't want to bluff the ultimate bluffer. This is Trump's game. I mean, he's a real estate tycoon in Manhattan. This is what they do. This is how they price things out. This is how they evict people. This is how you negotiate contracts. I don't think Kim knows what he's getting into. And what he's doing, which is very smart, is saying, you're not going to not only threaten San Francisco or California, you're not going to threaten Guam. No one knows anything about Guam. But the fact that, in America, the fact that Guam is being protected as if it was a state and as if it was our core ally in the region draws the line so far in the sand.
But we have military there.
Absolutely.
It's very strategically important because it's so much closer to North Korea than Hawaii or
obviously a forward operating base, and that's where we have all the B-52s, but no one in America knows where Guam is.
Fred Schneider hasn't been seen all week. You know,
are you insulting all of America? You've done too many Waters Worlds.
There was a woman at
You go in the street and ask where Guam is. They think it's a dinner.
No, at Well, actually, and there's a woman at the Washington Post named Michelle, I think it's Yi Lee, and she did all the questions you ever wanted to know about Guam because she grew up there and all sorts of, I didn't know that. You call them Guamanians, in case you were wondering.
I think I need to do a Waters World in Guam.
Well,
I'm
you
going to
know
be
what?
back in
Yeah.
about a week.
Well, why don't you do that for
I know
next
some
week?
people that would like you to go there. Somewhere around the time of mid-August.
Like half the country?
Yeah. Prearranged trip. Can I say one thing about the diplomacy? I do think that there have been some successes beyond the Saturday Security Council vote that was 15-0 because today China said that it will not get involved.
Back North Korea.
With North Korea. It would stay neutral, and it's something that was really a signal, I think, to the North Koreans. Again, I think the administration talking to all of these different players on a different path than maybe you've seen before. So I think that there's more diplomacy going on than meets the eye when you see the president make comments like that.
Yeah, and I think China stepping up in that way was significant. I hope Kim listened to what you just said, because I think I also agree that the president this is his game. This is how he talks. He talks big in the hopes that he can intimidate or persuade, depending on your vantage point, right? Problem is, I just don't know that Kim knows that, right? I don't know that Kim sees it that way. We talked about this a little bit last night, that he's the kind of guy who you come back at him with the same kind of language he uses, and it might escalate his own
Does Kim
action
want to
in that
find
way.
out? That's the calculation he has to make.
Well, and also, you know, the way the presidents have talked, using the exact same language, just in slightly different terms, in slightly softened terms, but essentially saying the same thing. President Obama did it. You know, peace-loving hippie President Obama said that if North Korea acts, they essentially will be annihilated with our military
Although
arsenal.
an attack wasn't imminent, and the intel now shows that this is all like coming to a head.
And North Korea says it's coming to a head because they've given us a time and a place. And I think that the president is sort of surmising this and with more psychological strategy than we've seen presidents do in the past. And I actually think that people should have a little bit more strategic patience in this country and see if that might work, because we're also hearing today in the aftermath of this that there are diplomatic back channels and that there is some sort of a dialogue. And I think that's the most interesting thing. And to get back to something that you said at the beginning of the show, Greg, you're absolutely right that you said that this is the part of the presidential orientation that every administration despises. I would say, like, North Korea, unfortunately, is part of the three failures. And that is peace in the Middle East,
Right.
some sort of a friendly relationship with Russia, and disarming nuclear North Korea.
Right.
And every administration tries to do the same thing with all three in slightly different ways, and so far they've all failed.
Wait, you're saying Trump can't beat North Korea, bring peace to the Middle East, and cozy up to Russia? Like, Kushner's going over there next week.
Done.
We have everything taken care of.
And number three, already
All right, it's
done.
in motion.
And number four is always fix health care.
No, Obama actually, he messed it up so badly.
Don't forget balance the budget.
Yeah, there
a
you
good one.
go. There you
Can
go.
we play for you, Greg, a soundbite from Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North about sanctions?
I'm not sure.
The problem with sanctions is they take too damn long. I mean, the bottom line of it is this is something that needs to be shut down in days, not weeks or months, and certainly not in years.
President Trump said today at the press conference that they are considering more sanctions and at a higher level.
Sanctioning who?
Well, he didn't say. I would imagine that it's maybe possibly more with Kim, because apparently one of the things he likes to do to keep everybody around him happy is give them gifts, like lavish gifts. And then if you cut off his ability to do that, maybe the people in the military will start to get antsy and turn on him.
Yeah, I think you know, you have to sanction and hit everybody, including, and I said this before, that North Korea is bad, but so are its parents, its foster parents who neglected and deprived it. So I think you got to hit China. You got to go after the banks, do all that stuff. I think the easiest reflex is to attribute irrationality to North Korea. And we've done it too, and I've said it. I go, this guy's nuts, and we always make fun of this nutty, crazy character. Maybe that's true, maybe that's not. But embracing the assumption that he's irrational writes off any of these options. It's like, oh, none of this stuff is going to work because he's going to starve his people. He's a crazy person. But there is a rationality behind this bluffing.
Yeah, and it's also, it speaks to his control and his authoritarian control over the country, where he uses propaganda and starvation and prison camps in order to keep his society in line. But it's interesting because, you know, you look at other regimes like this who've had totalitarian dictators in the past, and they have sort of this hegemonic goal. Like they want a big landmass.
Right.
Even Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Like, he wants a caliphate. He wants more and more land. And Kim Jong-un doesn't operate in the same way.
No.
You know, he wants unification of Korea on his terms, so South Korea becomes part of North Korea. But I think that's one of the biggest things. There are two things here that make this time in our history with North Korea very different. And one is what you said. And then, we have to put pressure on China. And we realize that in a way that wasn't as evident in past administrations.
He does like his liquor, and he likes his video games, and he likes his movies.
And
so
his
it
Dennis
is
Rodman.
more about survival for him. And I think the North Korean economy is about $20 billion, and the sanctions deal was about $1 billion. So it's a bite, but it's not a big bite. So we'll see how it goes. I'm sure there'll be another round. They're going to.
And you know what we haven't really talked about, and I think remaining calm is really good, but there is also a huge international event happening in just 6 months, and that is the Winter Olympics that will take place in Seoul in February, Mo.
No, that's I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see how the next couple of months play out. The Olympics take place. You get all these athletes from around the world who come there, those who do go, right? And
well, you can't allow the North Korean teams to participate, correct?
Well, you can't allow North Korea to do anything that would suddenly put all these athletes behind some sort of a scepter of danger,
That's true,
and that would be the bigger concern I would have.
Cancel the Olympics, and here's why. It's just too much. Every 2 years. No, it's just every 2 years. I liked it when they were both every 4 years.
I know.
Because then I looked forward to it. But every 2 years, I get exhausted by it.
You don't like the speed skating?
It also hurts our ratings.
The Greeks would never do that.
The real reason.
The Greeks
Let's
would
be
have
honest.
waited for 4 years.
Yeah.
Right?
You gotta appreciate it. Like, I think Christmas should be every other year, but that's just me.